Hey Falcons, welcome back to week 5, part 3 of our summer learning. I hope you are having a great week so far. Um, in the last video, we read Something Beautiful and we talked about adjectives and schema. And right now, what I'd like you to do is tell someone that you're with what's an adjective and what does the word schema mean. So tell them what's an adjective and what does the word schema mean. Okay, so if you said that an adjective is a word that describes a noun, you're correct. And if you said schema is what you already know and the connections that you make in a text, you are correct. So we said that adjectives are words that describe a noun. So remember we said a noun is a person, place, or thing. I can't remember what we did for thing, but we said those adjectives use their 5 senses. So we use our sight, smell, taste, hearing, and sense of touch to describe our nouns. And there's many ways we can do that. We read Dragons Love Tacos, and we said the crunching of the taco shell crunch is an adjective. The colors of the peppers, the spicy peppers, remember we said spicy is an adjective, red, green, any kind of color is an adjective. We also said that we can make connections with our stories called schema, our background knowledge, things that we already know about. And the very first video this week, we talked about what we know about spider webs. And there's a lot to know about spider webs, especially when you live in Ohio, because there you find them all the time. So when we're talking about schema, we're talking about things that we already know and making connections. We read yesterday, or not yesterday, in the last video, we read Something Beautiful, and we said there was a lot of connections that we could make in this story. Like when she went to the market and saw all the fruits and vegetables, and we said at grocery stores we see this. We also see it, like I said, I made a connection. I used my schema about my background knowledge about when I go to the Hartfield Flea Market and get fruits and vegetables with my family. We also talked about how, sometimes we may have we've seen people, who live on the street. So we made the connections and related a lot to the little girl in this story. So eating at a diner or a restaurant, we've made a connection. I'm sure you've all done that. And in this story, she also had a lot of adjectives and she used her 5 senses to discover the beautiful things. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go through the story and discuss the different things like that she went. And that's what good readers do, right? They go back to the stories, they reread. And that's what we're kind of going to do today. We're going to reread and look at the different senses that she uses or that the people use in the story to describe something beautiful or to use the adjectives for something beautiful. And we're going to find adjectives, we're going to use our schema and all kinds of stuff today. And then we're going to use our 5 senses to come up with beautiful things that we, using our senses, that we can find and that'll be my challenge for you. So we'll go over that in a little bit later. So right now, let's look back at our story. Now, let's start, we're going to look for the senses that she used. So I'm going to go to when she starts to look for something beautiful. And remember, she was in class and they talked about beautiful things and how she said that she thinks beautiful means that when her heart is happy. So her first stop was at the diner with Miss Daphne, and Miss Daphne made her a fish sandwich. Excuse me. And the fish sizzles. That was a really good adjective, sizzles. And so we said that she said, there's nothing more beautiful tasting than my fried fish sandwiches. Okay, so she tells me my teeth sink in. This is good. So, in the story, she uses her sense of taste to find something beautiful, and she uses the sense of taste. So, what was beautiful? It was the fish sandwich. So, next number one, I'm going to put taste fish sandwich. I don't think I'm gonna have enough room, so I'm just put sand. You know what I mean? Not actual sand. Okay, so in the story, she uh, took a big bite out of it. She's like, oh, it made her heart happy. Have you ever tasted anything and you're like, oh, it's so good? Like I, this like I'm using a schema right now. I love these like scream sandwiches. My father-in-law got them for me. And now I just can't. Every time I taste one, I'm like, oh, they're so good. So this has ice cream and then the cookies on the top and the bottom. It's like chocolate chip cookies. They're so good. I have one every night. They're so delicious. So that to me is beautiful and makes my heart happy. So can you relate? Is there any food? Tell someone that you're with that you taste or something that you taste that makes your heart happy. Maybe it's some candy, pizza. Oh, pizza's good too. So is there something that just makes your heart happy that you can use your schema to relate to how she feels about this fish sandwich? I wish I was there for you to tell me. Okay. Then when I go out back, I see some of my friends. Do you have something beautiful? I ask them. I have my jump rope, I have my beads, I have my new shoes. So she sees her friends, okay, and they show her all these different things. So we're going to use the sense of sight and we're just going to say her friends. So sight. Well, that's not. There we go. Okay, so she sees her friends, and all those things are making her friends' hearts happy, right? They are happy to show her the things, but I think she's happy to see her friends. And that's how I feel. And I can relate to this because I just keep looking forward, and I know this hasn't happened yet, but I look forward to going back to school and seeing all of my teacher friends and seeing all of you guys and seeing all the fabulous Falcons that are there. And I think that that's going to make my heart really happy. I'm sure it will make yours too. Okay, the next one is my fruit store is one beautiful store, says Mr. Lee. You do have nice apples, I said. Thank you. So Mr. Lee, take one. So she's using her sense of sight again, right? She's using her sense of sight again to see all of the beautiful store, the market. So we're gonna say sight, and we're gonna say fruit market. Okay. So she uses the sense of sight, and we already related to this a lot, right? When you go to the grocery store, you see all the colorful fruit and vegetables, or like the flea market, you can go and see all the fruits and vegetables. Okay, this is another one where she's watching the dance moves, but she's also hearing the sounds of the dancing on the sidewalk, right? She said her friend said Georgina said, hear my sounds while she's dancing on the sidewalk. So she used her sense of sound or hearing. I'm going to put dancing. Okay. Touch this smooth stone, says old Mr. Sims, sitting on his front steps. All these years I have carried it in my pocket. So they're using the sense of touch to feel the stone. Is there anything special that you have that you hold in your hand, maybe when you're nervous or anything like that? I like to feel my son's baby blanket. It's always so soft to me. So, and it's so soft to my son, and makes him feel good. So that's the connection I make is when my son gets nervous or scared or sad, he holds his blanket and he rubs it. And that's like the sense of touch. So I can relate that way. We're going to put the stone. So we only really haven't found smell yet. We heard this one was the giggles. Remember the little baby giggles? But she didn't really talk about the sense of smell, and that's okay. Maybe she was talking about the fish sandwich was her sense of smell too. But you can make all kinds of connections in any kind of any story. It doesn't have to be this story. Any kind of story, you can make a connection, and that's using schema. And that's what great readers do. It's so important to do that because it helps you understand the story better. So make sure you go back and reread your stories and make those connections, okay? Or pause when you're reading and make those connections. You don't have to say it out loud, but you just maybe pause and think about those things. Or if you want to say it out loud, say it to someone else, or if you're reading to someone else, you can share those thoughts with them, and making those connections, it'll help you understand the story better and help you become a better reader. Now, here's my challenge for you. Okay, so where's my tape? Okay. So what I'm going to do, I can't give you these papers, but you can write it down. All right. So I'm just going to stick it up here. Is that okay? Can you guys see that? The light's not working with me, is it? All right, well, I'll hold it up here. So what I want you to do, and it's backwards, which that's okay, is you're going to use your 5 senses. You're going to come up with one thing for each. What is beautiful? So you're going to think of the sense of sight. So I might say, what is beautiful to you with my sense of sight is seeing my son smile. And so I would write my son smile. And then over here, I would write a sentence. So you're going to have 3 columns. I want you to do 3 columns. And I want you to do, so you can write sight. You don't have to draw an eye unless you want to. And then I would you put what it looks beautiful. I would put my son's smile and then write a sentence about it. So my son's smile makes my heart smile. Okay. Then hearing, what sound is beautiful? Ocean waves or anything like that. Smell, what smells beautiful? I know this is weird, but I love the smell of new books. I do. I love the smell of new books. So I would probably put something like that down. But you're going to do all 5 senses. What's beautiful, and then put them in a sentence, make it into a sentence. Use some adjectives, use some great describing words, okay? So if I said, I opened the page of the crisp new book and smelled the fresh smell of paper or something like that, I don't know. So add some adjectives in there. Make your connections while you're reading, and have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye, guys.